It started so casually, so normal, that I didn't even notice the danger creeping in until it was too late. He was just sitting beside me, watching TV. That's it. Nothing dramatic. No candlelight, no romantic music, just the glow of the screen and the quiet hum of a late Sunday night. But when his hand slipped, I didn't move. And that moment, silent, electric, forbidden, set off a chain of emotions I couldn't undo. I'm Hannah, 32 years old, married for almost 7 years. My husband, Ethan, and I had what people called a stable marriage. We weren't passionate like we used to be, but we were safe. Predictable. He worked long hours as a software engineer, and I taught high school English. Life was routine, dinner at 8, bed by 10, and weekends spent pretending that scrolling on our phones side by side was quality time. Then there was Luke, Ethan's younger brother. 26, charming in that boyish, careless way. He'd recently broken up with his girlfriend and moved in with us temporarily, until he figured things out. He was supposed to stay 2 weeks. It turned into 2 months. At first, it was easy. Luke helped around the house, made me laugh, even got Ethan to loosen up sometimes. He'd tease me for being the serious one, and I'd roll my eyes, pretending not to enjoy the attention. But deep down, I noticed. The way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. The way his compliments came off a little too smooth, too specific. You always smell nice, Hannah. That color looks perfect on you. Things Ethan hadn't said in years. I told myself it was harmless. I was just being polite, enjoying some flattery after years of feeling invisible. But that's how it starts, doesn't it? A little validation, a little spark that you convince yourself is nothing. One night, Ethan had to work late, again. Luke and I were in the living room, watching a movie. I remember it was raining outside, the kind of slow drizzle that makes everything feel smaller, quieter. I had wrapped myself in a blanket, my legs curled up, and Luke sat just a little too close on the couch. I noticed the warmth of his arm brushing against mine, but I didn't move. My heart beat faster, though I kept my eyes fixed on the screen. At some point, his hand moved. Slowly. He reached for the remote, or maybe that's what he wanted me to think. His fingers brushed against my thigh, light as a whisper. I froze. I could have pulled away, should've, but I didn't. My breath caught, my pulse roared in my ears, and still, I didn't move. It wasn't that I wanted it. It was that I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I hadn't felt desired in so long. Ethan barely noticed me these days, and here was someone looking at me like I was alive again. That's all it took, that small, dangerous hunger to be seen. He didn't say a word. Neither did I. The movie kept playing, the rain kept falling, and for a few unbearable seconds, his hand stayed there, a quiet secret burning between us. Then he pulled away, almost as if realizing what he'd done. The silence afterward was deafening. I remember standing up, pretending I needed water, my hands trembling as I filled a glass at the sink. When I turned back, Luke was still on the couch, staring blankly at the TV, his jaw tight. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying it, every detail, every second. I didn't stop him. The next morning, he acted normal. Too normal. He joked at breakfast, helped Ethan fix the garage door, like nothing had happened. I wanted to believe it didn't. But every time our eyes met, there was something there now, unspoken, heavy, dangerous. A week passed, and I thought maybe it was over. But that spark, that moment, had shifted something. Luke started finding excuses to be near me, helping me cook, joining. Me on morning runs, lingering in the kitchen after Ethan left for work. And I didn't tell him to stop. One evening, Ethan went out with friends. Luke and I ended up watching TV again. I don't even remember the show. All I remember is the tension, thick enough to cut through. He reached over, brushed a strand of hair behind my ear, and said quietly, "You know you didn't move that night." My chest tightened. "I know," I whispered. That was it, the moment the line disappeared completely. He leaned in, and before I could think, before I could stop it, I let him. It wasn't wild or romantic. It was messy, desperate, wrong. I felt every ounce of guilt flood me even as I gave in. When it was over, we sat there in silence. I couldn't look at him. My heart was racing, my hands shaking. He tried to speak, but I stood up and said, "Don't. Please, just don't." I went straight to the bathroom and cried until I couldn't breathe. The next morning, Ethan came home early. I felt sick, like my guilt was tattooed on my skin. Luke avoided me completely, barely said a word all day. That night, I lay beside my husband, pretending to sleep, feeling like I didn't deserve to be in that bed. Days turned into weeks. Luke started packing, saying he'd found a place. He wouldn't look at me when he left. He just said, "Take care of him. He really loves you." That sentence broke me. I thought I'd buried it, that time would dull the memory, but it didn't. Every time Ethan smiled at me, I felt the sting of betrayal crawl up my spine. Every time Luke's name came up in conversation, I'd find some excuse to leave the room. Months later, Luke called Ethan, said he'd met someone new, that he was moving to another city. Ethan was happy for him. I just nodded, my heart heavy with everything unsaid. Sometimes, late at night, when I can't sleep, I think about that moment on the couch. About how one tiny hesitation, 1 second of not moving, ruined something I didn't even realize I still valued. People think infidelity is about passion or love. It's not. Sometimes it's about emptiness, silence, and a split second where your loneliness outweighs your conscience. I never told Ethan. Maybe that makes me a coward. Maybe it makes me selfish. But I live with it every day, that secret, that night, that touch I didn't stop. Because he was only watching TV beside me, then his hand slipped, and I didn't move. And that single moment changed everything forever.